Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom Kuntu from Shanghai. I'm back for another Eurovision reaction video. Tonight I'm going to be reacting to the results of the second semi-final of Eurovision 2021 in Rotterdam. I'm going to talk about the show in general, the 10 qualifiers, the 7 non-qualifiers, and what this means for all of their individual qualification records. So, let's kiki. As always, you can use the progress bar if you want to skip to one of the things I mentioned in the intro. Just to give you a heads up about what's coming up, I am also going to do a video on the grand final running order. I don't want to do it in here because it's quite juicy and I want it to have its whole own video on its own. And then probably my last video before my live stream on Saturday night is going to be a preview of the final, where I'm just going to kind of sum up everything that's happened in the season, where we're at in terms of who can win and the running order and blah, 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 blah. And just kind of give I'm actually going to try this year to give my guess of who's going to come from 1st to 26th. It's going to be an absolute disaster, but I think it's kind of fun to look back and see which ones was I really get right and which ones I really get wrong. I think it's pretty much impossible to get 1 to 26 right. So that's what's coming up in the next day or so. First of all, let's talk about the show in general. I think it's pretty well accepted that this semi-final was not as strong. Leendert, who's one of the regular commenters here, was saying that he was actually at the show and he said the first one was absolutely buzzing. And the second one the atmosphere just wasn't the same. It was just a lower standard. We all knew that going in, that this was the weaker semi. On the flip side of that, it's good. I think that we've kind of lost a lot of the weaker songs, and it means that we're going into a grand final that's going to be incredibly strong. I think this is one of the strongest grand finals that we're ever going to have. But I'll talk about it in a later video. This semi-final, yeah, it felt a little bit slower. I compared the first one being punched like a boxer, having all these amazing songs one after the other. This one felt a little bit more like being patted on the head by a cat. It was a bit snoozier. It was still lots of great shows, but it wasn't wow, non-stop, wow. In any case, despite that, I still think that the 10 qualifiers who went through were all really great. I think that they can all pretty much hold their own in the final. I don't think this is going to be as much like 2019, where 7 of the top 8 songs all came from semi-final number 2, and then the 8th person was Italy, where there really was this ridiculous drop between the two semis. You have a couple of favorites from semi 2, so I think it's going to hold its own in the final. Let's talk about the 10 qualifiers. So first up, San Marino qualified from spot number 1. I was extremely relieved by this. I was kind of having this panic maybe around after 5 names had been called that they just weren't going to get called at all because of the running order, and I don't know, it just all these terrible demonic thoughts were coming into my head. But they went through. I'm really relieved. They've been rewarded with a 26 draw in the final, which I think is really, really fantastic. We are rooting for San Marino to have their best result ever. Their previous best result is 17th with Serhat. So this is definitely a very realistic opportunity for them to set their best record ever. Last time we saw North Macedonia set their new record, I think their previous was something outside the top 10 and they managed to get 7th. I would love to see, I don't know if this can get to 7th, but I would love to see something like that. I would be so joyous if they could get a new record. And also, I'm going to talk about this later, but San Marino on a 2 qualification streak now, this tiny microstate. The thing that's interesting about San Marino is becoming that every year they've just got this one extremely rich person who's basically buying themselves a very luxurious entry into Eurovision. Serhat was the same, Senate was the same. I just wonder how many of these people are they going to be able to find, these extremely rich, middle-aged people who are very excellent. I thought both of them were absolutely brilliant, both deserve to qualify, but how many more are they going to be able to find? That's their problem to work out, not ours. Okay, the second qualification was Stefania. I was also a little bit worried about this. She got called 9th as well. Based on where she's been put in the final, I'm pretty sure that's actually, she got pulled 10th in the final, so I'm pretty sure she actually didn't do too badly. Yeah, her performance, I think it's getting better. She's getting more confident. She was very eloquent in the interview that they had with her. I feel like she's going to just keep building in confidence. Apparently, the reaction in the arena to this was really, really great. And I think this is really, really deserved to go through. It's kind of in a rocky position being 4th in the running order. They've been given a better one in the final now. So I don't think that this will come top 10, but I definitely think this is going to be competing for the left side of the scoreboard, and I would love to see Greece there. The thing is, we used to talk about top 10 being the same. Now I think it needs to get more and more difficult. I was doing my personal rankings for my top 10 and I've got 20 plus songs I want to put in my top 10. It is I won't say it's impossible because it's obviously possible, but it's so difficult now to break into the top 10. We almost need to expand top 10 into just being left side because top 13, because it's just the standards going up and up and up. Okay, the next qualifier was Moldova. I think a lot of people were surprised about this. On reflection, I don't know, there's lots of things that are going to happen here. Now, it's totally possible that Philip Korkov sacrificed thousands of puppies, and that's the reason that they got through, and the price of puppies is going to go up all over Europe. or he pulled some strings with his connections around Europe. Who knows? That's a big conspiracy theory, though. More likely is just that, I don't know, people just thought this was quite different. It's got a like slightly melodramatic feel. The dancing looked good. I would probably guess that this kind of snuck through maybe in 9th and 10th. I don't know. It could be something else. Maybe it is just the fact that we are all comparing it to the music video, which was so epic. Well, I thought it was epic. Some people thought it was trashy. And this is a lot more subdued, but people who hadn't seen the music video didn't have that comparison. So they were just like, oh, this is kind of like a little bit unusual and weird, and it went through. Either way, I'm happy for Moldova to go through. Their qualification record was very good. Okay, Iceland are the 4th qualifier. No real surprise here. This performance is absolutely spectacular. I'm curious now, is the fact that they are not able to... First of all, this is very well received in the arena. I have insiders giving me information about what was well received. Also, I wonder, is them in the hotel going to hurt them or help them? The positives are they have an absolutely spectacular rehearsal. So they don't need to worry about vocals or messing anything up. They've already got it in the bag and saved, and it just needs to be reloaded and shown. That's a definite positive. The second positive, are they getting a little bit of sympathy? If they do something really clever with this, for example, when they showed them qualified, they were all in the room, and they're the 2 guys who were in isolation, and they had like their body. They had a body with an iPad, and on the screen they were Skyping the person's face. It was just really cute and clever, and I wonder, could they drum up a little bit of sympathy? Could this actually help them a little bit? Although it would be awkward if they won. Like, how are they going to get them the trophy? They might have to, funny enough, in China, they have this thing in hotels here where robots will deliver your takeaway. So I stayed in this fancy hotel in Chengdu once, and because delivery food is huge here, there's so much of it, and one day I ordered some food and I opened my door and there was literally a robot there, and the robot like opened its lid and my food was in, and the robot had gone from the reception up in the lift, like all itself, and then come to my door and given me the food, and I was just like, this is just so surreal. So I wonder if they're going to get one of those Chinese food robots to deliver the trophy to Iceland. That would be quite a moment. I'm sure that Iceland would absolutely love it. Okay, the 5th ones to qualify is Serbia. Now, this was one of the ones that I got wrong. I actually thought these girls weren't going to qualify. I was definitely wrong about that. They were really fantastic. On the night, I was like almost thinking, should I change? But I didn't commit to it. I have to put it in writing if you're going to change. They were really fantastic. They're very competent performers. The energy they brought, the hairography, my God, their hair is amazing. They are going to have hair commercial deals for the rest of their life. I have to admit, I was very much converted to being even a bigger fan of the girls today when I saw a video of them rocking out to a summary of all the qualifiers. I posted on my Twitter. I don't know if I can post it because it might be a bit of a pain, but it shows Sanja Vukic mostly, and they're showing who qualified, and Greece's music comes on and she's rocking out, and then Finland's music comes on and she starts screaming and doing a head bopping, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in love with her now. She's just a massive Euro fan, because there's always that thing where you see 2 artists meet and they're like, I love your song, I love your song. I'm very much into like actions speak louder than words, and I think when they say that, like obviously they're going to say that, they're not going to be like, I think your song's shit. So when I see people like showing actions that show they demonstrably love the other contestants' songs, it always kind of like stirs me a little bit. Like, for example, Hooverphonic, they had a video of them like rocking out to Shum, like properly rocking out to Shum, like they absolutely loved it. And that kind of made me fall in love with them a bit. And then seeing Serbia dancing to Finland and Greece, I just love that. It always gives me like a nice feeling when you can see that they're not just contestants who are coming here to kind of further their careers. They're actually like in love with the competition. They're super fans. And I don't think all the contestants are like that. I think some really do see it as a transaction. And some, like Sanja, who's come twice now, really love it. So, and it's funny how that's going to make me like cheer for them even more now in the final. But yeah, look, fair play to the girls. They're the only girl group. They're the only girl group in the final. They bring a ton of energy. They look super professional, and they're dancing and how they move, and they're just fantastic. I really think that they deserve their spot in the final, absolutely 100%, and they're winning me over every time I see them. Okay, in 11th spot, the next qualification was Albania, Angela Parasti. If you saw my reaction to her rehearsal, my God, this woman is just absolutely magical. She is just stunning. She is confident, professional. She does absolutely one-woman show, dominates the stage. She's just absolutely epic. I love this, like some like feminist songs this year, like Russian Woman and Latvia. And I love how Albania is like a subtle feminist song, because you've just got this epic woman who's just like owning the competition. Not owning the competition, but she's just owning the stage and the performance. And she doesn't even need to say like, I'm doing this woman. It's just like her actions are speaking louder than words. I just really love that. And the staging really suits her. I think that she's got a bond with the staging. It suits her vibe and her personality. She looks amazing. I love that she does her rehearsals and no makeup on as well. That's just quite endearing to me. She got pulled second in the final. It's a little bit crappy, but you kind of guess that that implies that she came 9th or 10th in this semi. Okay, 12th was Portugal. Again, this is bloody hell. This is going huge on Spotify and iTunes and whatnot. This is really, really big. I found myself singing this morning. My God, John Moynihan is never going to let me live this down because he's been banging on about this being his favorite song for the whole season, and I absolutely really didn't like it. If you watch my Festival Kansai video, which is my most disliked video, which still doesn't have a thumbnail, I really ragged on this, and I am starting to love it. And this is one of the things I love about Eurovision is songs that you really don't like, you slowly can start to love them, because all the songs just kind of become our children. And you know, even if you don't really like your child at the start, you kind of learn to love them eventually. This has also entered the top 10 in the odds. This is up to 8th in the odds. I think this has got a very broad appeal. The staging is just very, very clever and very successful, and they deserve it if they do get top 10. And it would be weird because it's Portugal's first song in English, and if they have an amazing result with it, who knows what could happen. That could open the floodgates for them. In the 13th spot, Bulgaria. Victoria growing up is getting old. I think this is, I said in that video as well yesterday, I think she's a fantastic performer. She's only 23. This performance was well above her years. Really, really beautiful. The reaction in my live stream chat was really positive. People were like, well, okay, this is beautiful. The majority of people were quite impressed with her. I've noticed that she's gone down in the odds. I don't particularly understand what the story behind that is. She was given a good draw for the final, but for some reason she's been put down to 10th. I don't know what the reason for that is, other than that maybe some people watching the final weren't feeling it or something like that. Nothing's changed from the rehearsals. That's exactly what she looked like in the rehearsals, so I don't get it. Our 9th qualifier was Finland, Blind Channel singing Dark Side. I always get the names mixed up. They were left till last in the results. Apparently, people in the stadium were absolutely loving them. I think that's why they put them last, because they were really, really popular in the stadium and the crowd were cheering their name. I'm pretty sure it sounded like Finland, a mix of Finland and Denmark. I'm pretty sure it was Finland. Lindert as well was saying that Finland got a huge reaction there. Very, very glad they're going through. This again has gone up to 7th in the odds. One of my best friends in New York messaged me. He's obsessed with this song. I always try to get his opinions because he doesn't really follow the lead up. He just goes straight into the semi-final, so it's really interesting to get that opinion of someone who hasn't got the backstories that we do. And then finally, Switzerland, number 16. My God, this boy, he's 22. He is just spectacular. I thought he was absolutely sensational. He was in tears when he qualified. I just could not love this guy anymore. He's my absolute, Eurovision darling. I will jump off a bridge for him if he wants me to. He's my absolute number 1 this year. That's not going to budge. I've decided now. All he had to do was get the staging good, and he locked up my number 1 spot. My number 2 is up for grabs now because Roxanne didn't make the final, so who knows who could jump into that. But those are the 10 qualifiers. Let's more briefly go through the 7 non-qualifiers. Estonia, it wasn't imaginative enough. You need something bigger if you're going to be in the 2nd slot. They did almost the same staging as they did with Victor Krone. I know his song was called Storm, so you're going to have a thunderstorm. But Uku basically had the same thing. He's a pretty dude who's in a storm. Come on, guys, you got to come up with something a little bit more imaginative than that. Number 3, Benny Cristo. Unfortunately, this is what I thought was going to happen. It was too low energy. His energy was a bit better, but nothing happened in the staging. It was a bit boring. A little bit sad. I thought that Czech Republic usually bring it in terms of fun. Well, the last 2 times they've really bought fun entries, and this wasn't fun enough staging. Number 5 was Austria, Vincent Bueno. Amen. I'm a little bit happy this didn't go through because honestly I felt it was too jury baity. I feel like Austria need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we need to actually focus on having a better televote. We need people to actually like our songs at home and not just try and pander to these juries. So yes, I hope that Austria take this to kind of reflect. Their qualification record is not bad at all. Austria, this is their 2nd on qualification record. They had a streak of 4. So they've kind of gone from being really silently good at qualifying into a 2-loss streak now. Poland, this was just a bit of a hot mess. He had the shades on, and then there was all this stuff from the music video, showing your music video. I think he's the only person who did that. A little bit naff. I think that's what you kind of do when you're rummaging together a performance for the MTV Music Awards or something, but not when you've had months and months to plan into this one event. Yeah, the whole thing was just a little bit weak and messy. I like the song, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was maybe 2nd last in the semi. Georgia, again, nothing happened. Really, he just walked forward and then he sat down and he stood up again. I like the song, I like him. This didn't utilize his strengths. He's a bit of a bad boy. He's a great rock gravity singer. They didn't use either of those things. This staging was not bad boy at all. It was boy going to bed. I don't get it. I don't get the song choice. I get the song choice if you're going to go for something absolutely crazy, like him hanging upside down or hanging in the air or him dying or something like real wacky or being crucified or something like that, really intense. But just walking and sitting down and then standing up again, nah, it's not going to cut it. Latvia, I already said what I needed to in the last video. I think she's looking at Russia's staging and she's going, feck, I wish I'd done that. Russia does everything that Samantha wanted to do, but 10, 15 times better. This looked a little bit too vain for me. She looked gorgeous, but I thought the song was about female empowerment. I think that she could have looked gorgeous while getting the message about female empowerment about. I'm very sad for her though. I know she's a super fan. I think making the final would have been an absolute dream come true for her, but she was given a very good running order, 15th, and the song wasn't strong enough on its own, and then the staging was just a bit meh in the end. And finally was Denmark. This is another one I got wrong. I was maybe over-egging the fact that people would have like maybe a drunk nostalgia for this. Also the fact it was 17th in the running order. But no, I think it's fair this doesn't go through. And actually, I think it's better for Denmark in the long term. If we're honest, well, if I'm honest, I think that Dance Melody Grand Prix was the absolute worst national final by far this year, to the point that I did my reaction to it and I didn't publish it because it was so negative, because it was so bad. I was like, I don't want to waste time editing this 30-minute video where I'm literally like, this is shit and this is shit and this is shit. Denmark need to have a little bit of an emergency because this is 2 years in a row now where I'd say their national final has been very poor. I think they need to work on keeping their songwriters from sending stuff to Melody Festival and take care of their songwriters better or whatever they need to do. But I think they need to have like a mini emergency meeting. I'm glad they didn't qualify because I think it's better for them in the long run that they don't. If they had qualified, maybe they get a little bit complacent again. Okay, so that's what I think about the 10 qualifiers and the 7 non-qualifiers. Let's have a quick look at what this is for the stats. I'm just going to briefly talk about some of the stats. Look, these are the stats for semi-final 2 before the show. I'm not going to update them here because after Eurovision is done, I want to do like a proper video going through how everyone's records is changing and who's like needs to have emergency meetings about bad records, etc. Romania, people like that. But briefly, you can see from this graphic that actually all the kind of countries that the worst records did better, and even Bulgaria, who are top of that for their 6-year record, are almost the worst for their 12-year record. So this was a really great year for the people who don't usually qualify, improving their records. Now, Georgia and Latvia are kind of the noticeable ones who didn't. And funnily enough, Georgia and Latvia are the 2 countries who are on the worst qualification streak right now. They're both on a 4 non-qualification streak. Romania's breathing a sigh of relief because if Latvia and Georgia had qualified, Romania would now have the worst qualification streak in the competition with 3. Which is very shocking if you think about how Romania used to be 100% qualification before that. We always used to say automatically Romania are in. It's the curse of Yodel it. But yeah, Bulgaria on our 4 qualification streak as well. Denmark's 3 qualification streak ends. Iceland are turning things around after their 4 non-qualifications in a row. They've had 2 in a row now, so that's great for Iceland. I love this new Iceland in the last 2 years. Poland also on a 3 non-qualification streak. I think they also need to have a little bit of a revamp of what they're doing. I think it's a bit messy. Their announcement was very late this year. It seems a little bit scrambled together. I think they definitely need a revamp in how they're approaching things. And Serbia as well, very impressed that they qualified with a lot less Balkan influence this year. I think that really shows that they do get through, can and do get through based on the quality of their songs and their acts. I think the act this year is just really fantastic. So those are my thoughts about what happened in the second semi-final and the results. What do you think about the second semi-final? Were you happy with any of the results? Were you unhappy with any results? Were there any big shocks for you? Please come and join me for my final live stream on Saturday, where I think we're going to have one of the best finals in Eurovision history. I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you everyone who joined me on Thursday, and I hope to see you again on Saturday. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.